तं सहगण अमृतां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेषतारिणे नमो नारायणाय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदाय कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our Bhakti Shastri Ishopanishad discussion. We are currently in mantra number 14. We had begun this shloka last week. We will continue that, and Krishna willing, we will enter mantra 15, and let's see how much we can complete. So quickly, let us recite these important verses. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Ishavastyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha Magridah Kasya Svidhanam. So we have seen the first principle in this Ishopanishad, that is Ishavasya principle. We have seen its benefits and how one should live according to that principle. We also saw how by following this principle, one at last will develop that inquisitiveness, he will develop that spiritual vision and understand Supreme Lord. Then came the most cryptic section, little confusing section about Vidya, knowledge and worship, which we saw from mantras 9 to 14. We have come up to the last part of this. In fact, we are in mantra number 14. We have seen how these mantras are very similar. If we understand the first three mantras, 9 to 11, it follows the same framework, 12 to 14. Mantras 9 to 11 talk about, anyone remember what does it talk about? Mantras 9 to 11, what do they talk about?
Knowledge and false knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge. So in that, mantra 9 talks about false knowledge, how it is dangerous. Mantra 10 talks about, notice that, what is it? Mantra 10 talk about?
The false knowledge.
Oh, that happened in mantra 9.
Yes,
Mantra 10.
different destination of spiritual and material knowledge.
Yes. And mantra 11 talks about what?
Both should be cultivated simultaneously.
Simultaneously. So similar thing for worship. So mantra 12 talked about the false worship, the pseudo worship, how it is dangerous. One should be very careful on what is he following. First, one should gain knowledge about it and choose the right object of worship. Then mantra 13 talked about the difference in results of someone who worships material object of worship. It means devatas, it could mean even all the Mayavad philosophy, all that. And the difference in result against the spiritual worship, the worship of Lord Krishna, how it awards one the greatest benefit of attaining back to Godhead, and of course the unconditional love towards that Lord. Now, mantra 14, in the same line as mantra 11, tells how one should actually know, one should actually cultivate the worship in material sense and also spiritual sense. What does this mean? It means what actually for a sadhaka, it will be explained by Prabhupada. We'll see that. So we have seen this chart also. I hope you remember this, how the difference in meanings for this word asambhuti and sambhuti are described. Just like the words avidya and vidya were there, those words are replaced by asambhuti and sambhuti. These words, they go with different meanings in these three mantras. In mantra 12, asambhuti meant material worship or demigod worship. And sambhuti meant false worship. In mantra 13, asambhuti meant any worship which is other than the Supreme Lord Krishna. And sambhuti meant worship of Lord Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So please notice how the meanings are changing. If we don't notice the change of meanings, then we will get confused. What is this Upanishad speaking about? So those who just go by the literal meaning of the verses will not get the actual message of the Upanishad. We need an acharya to explain it. So mantra 14 talks about knowledge about material world. The worship of asambhuti means to know how this world actually functions. And sambhuti here means actually practicing the worship of Supreme Lord in its fullest form, Nama Rupa Guna. We'll see that. We saw some of the parts already. Of course, mantra 13, we last time saw how some of the false understandings with examples Prabhupada explained. All of you may remember, all paths don't lead to same, right? Serving humanity is not equal to serving God. So all this we saw, Prabhupada clarified that very well in the purports. How worshipping Supreme Lord is the ultimate benefit for the jiva. It gives ultimate benefit and it is very simple. The most important methods are hearing and chanting. That Prabhupada explains in that last part. So then we entered mantra number 14. So far we saw what we have done. So we will continue from here today. So mantra 14, let's see the translation. Okay. I request one of you to read the translation. I'm just putting up here.
I should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Krishna, Sri Krishna. आवाज येतोय का?
Yes, it's coming. Yeah.
One should know perfectly the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animals. When one knows this, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge.
So just similar to mantra number 11, it is telling here that one should know about the material world. See here the word is used. One should know perfectly what the Supreme Lord and his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yeah, that's fine. That is understandable. As well as this is also something very striking. One should also know about this world. How this world is with so much variety, ultimately temporary. Yes, it is not a permanent place. In this world, everyone wants to be in a permanent habitation. permanent place of living. We don't want to change our place of living, is it not? Unless we are not satisfied with the current one, we don't want to change it. Is it not? So often changing means so much of trouble, so much of adjustment, so much of making the whole things function. So in this world, the jiva, the atma, it is permanent, but it has to continuously change its place of living. The body, the identity of the social circle, and even the very living place or the planet also. It has to change so much. In fact, at the end of life, the people fear the most because they will have to leave away whatever they thought they are. So this is something very painful for the jiva, conditioned souls. So one should know this. Why is it told that one should know this? One should know the nature of this world as temporary. It is not the place where one will be satisfied permanently. No. For some temporary period, one may find happiness, but ultimately it will be dissatisfying, boring, frustrating, disappointing, and very painful. That's why Krishna says dukkha. The word he uses at the end is dukkha. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So knowing this place as this temporary full of misery will help a person not to identify with this place. We all have to ultimately aim for going back to spiritual world. That's the message of this verse. So one should cultivate a positive attraction to spiritual world, the Supreme Lord, his activities, all that. And one should also, by doing that actually, one naturally, and also one can try it to develop detachment from this world by knowing its nature. So Shastra tells about both. So Prabhupada in the purport started explaining how this world cannot actually make one immortal. Can you read this highlighted part? Someone who has the mic.
For advancement of knowledge, human civilization has created many material things, including spaceships and atomic energy. Yet it has failed to create a situation in which people need not die, take birth again, become old, or suffer from disease.
So there have been so many attempts, and Prabhupada also tells right from his times of how people were trying to reduce aging by using so many artificial methods. Even today, of late, very recently, I saw someone who is trying to reverse the aging by following a specific lifestyle. It was so tough. It felt like how is he living actually? So much trouble one has to take. So still the experiments are ongoing. The results are no near to any completion. So one has not been successful in reaching this immortality. So Prabhupada says this world itself is a place of death. It is undergoing continuous changes. You see these changes highlighted in material nature. Everyone has to undergo these 6 changes. Every jiva. What are the 6 changes? Read it, Prabhu.
In material nature, everyone is under the stringent law of matter and must pass through 6 stages of existence: birth, growth, maintenance, production of byproducts, deterioration, and finally death.
And if there is something living in this world, it has to go through all these 6 things. If there is something not living, say stone, say some object, it only undergoes deterioration and destruction. But someone is living, say an object has a life within it, that means atma within it. It undergoes these changes. It is born at a time, it grows, it maintains, it reproduces, and then dwindles and dies. So the 6 changes are for the conditioned souls. The matter in this world, it keeps destroying. Finally, complete destruction. So these 6 things, be it the highest jivas like devatas or even Brahma, they may not have specific aspects here like dwindling and all, but death is surely there. Even the devas, they also fear that end of life. Brahma, he also has an end of life. So what to talk about people of this world, say man, or be it any part of the world, Western, Eastern, Middle East, wherever he is, everyone has to die today or tomorrow. Animal or plant, everything has to die. So Prabhupada goes on to describe how the very spectacular, very long life of Brahma also has an end. That's why this place, right from Brahma's planet down to the lowest planet, in Bhagavad Gita it is told, is a place of misery or death. Abrahma kuvanaloka punar avarti norjuna. Krishna says this in, I think, 8th chapter. So Krishna tells right from the Brahma's planet, Brahma Bhuvana Loka, highest planet, up till the lowest, everything in the middle also is a place where a jiva continuously keeps rotating. There is no permanent place there in all these places. So the destruction or the end of life of Brahma, it happens at the 100th year of his. There is some description about the pralaya which is coming ahead. There are 2 types of pralayas. Any of you recollect what are the 2 types of pralayas we saw last time? In fact, 4 are there, but Prabhupada mentions 2 here.
One is after every Manvantara.
Manvantara.
Sorry, Kalpa. Sorry.
Kalpa. What does that mean?
One life of Brahma.
Okay, that's at the end of his life. Okay, anything more? That's one type.
Day of Brahma. One is after 1 day and one is after his 100 year.
That's right. So you can see here that there are 2 times the pralaya happens. One happens at the end of his day, another happens at the end of his 100th year or end of his life. So the first one, which is end of the day of Brahma, is called partial destruction. That's the first type of pralaya. The second one is called as complete. So last time I was explaining how in the partial pralaya, all the planets up till Swargaloka, including Swargaloka, are destroyed. First there is fire, which actually burns up, destroys everything, and then there is waters which rise. So that is first pralaya. In the second one, including Brahmaloka, everything in the whole Brahmanda is burnt and later inundated or filled with water. That way the Brahmanda destroys. So what happens after pralaya to the jivas? That's an important question. Anyone want to answer? What happens to jivas? The atmas, jivatmas. Do they get destroyed?
Avyakta state. All jivas go into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu.
Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Okay. That's called as avyakta. So the jivas, they have 2 states of existence. One is called vyakta, that is when they have gross body along with their subtle body. That is when Brahma is functioning, he is awake, active. Right now it is so. Is it not? We are all active, right? We are not in avyakta state. The second one happens when Brahma is either sleeping or his life has ended. What happens that time? The gross body is destroyed. but subtle body cannot be destroyed. Along with the subtle body, the Jivatmas enter into the body of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu or Karanodakashayi Vishnu. In the first type of pralaya, they go to Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. In the second type of pralaya, they actually go back to Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So the point is, the Jivatmas, they are eternal, they are nitya, they cannot be destroyed. Right? The subtle body which is around them, it is clinging onto them until they are liberated completely. So that way, the jivas have what is called as avyakta sthiti, the stage of unmanifestation. It is equal to the amount of time the jiva is manifest or active. Because you can see the day of Brahma is 12 hours, the night of Brahma is also 12 hours. So that much amount of time it has, the jivatmas are vyakta and avyakta. Similarly, at the end of Brahma's life also. So the point is, the jivas, they continuously undergo this vyakta and avyakta state. So Prabhupada talks about it. Can you read this? Those living beings. Someone who has mic. Yeah.
Those living beings who reside on higher planets like the sun and the moon, as well as those on Martyaloka, these earth planet, and also those who live on lower planets, all are merged into the waters of devastation during the night of Brahma. During this time, no living beings or species remain manifest. Although spiritually they continue to exist, this unmanifested stage is called avyakta. Again, when the entire universe is vanquished at the end of Brahma's life, there is another avyakta state.
That is another avyakta state. So Prabhupada points that out, that beyond this vyakta and avyakta, Jivatma can be in the third state of existence, which is actually spiritual world, which is permanent. So that nature, that state of existence can be had only in spiritual world. So Prabhupada talks about it. That spiritual world is in fact the majority of existence. Last time I do remember showing this diagram. I'll show that again. See, in the whole of existence, I'm not talking creation, existence. Existence means it includes spiritual world, material world, and that's the existence. When we say creation, that means material world. Material world gets created and destroyed, but spiritual world is always there. That's why it's existence. So in the whole of existence, material world, that which gets created and destroyed, is 1/4 of existence. That's why it's called Ekapada Vibhuti. 1/4, Ekapada. Whereas the spiritual existence is Tripada, 3/4 of existence. So this existence, the Jivatma can attain beyond Vyakta and Avyakta. So Vyakta and Avyakta, they happen in this Ekapada Vibhuti only. But the third existence, the spiritual existence beyond this Vyakta Avyakta, is in Tripada Vibhuti alone. So how to make this transition? So Prabhupada describes that. Of course, we understand in principle, by practice of bhakti one does that. But Prabhupada explains that whole thing. Only by practice of devotional service, being trained in devotional service, can one actually enter that spiritual existence, the Vaikuntha world. So Prabhupada describes that whole thing below. Can you read this? As
Okay,
long
please
as...
explain it again because I did not get it.
Okay. So this whole procedure of entering from material existence to spiritual existence is the process of yoga. Is the process of yoga. So different yogas take one to different depths of spiritual existence. Let me show that. Yeah. Different yogas, they take one to different depths of spiritual existence. The karma yoga, it may at max take one to Brahmajyoti. It may take one to Brahmajyoti. And Jnana yoga also to the borders of that. But when one practices what is called Ashtanga yoga, or Dhyana yoga, one can enter Vaikuntha planets because one starts to understand Paramatma. One starts to understand Paramatma. And by the path of Bhakti yoga, one can attain all of these destinations if he has that desire, but he can also attain the highest existence of even Goloka also by the path of Bhakti yoga. So the path of yoga is the one which takes one beyond this Ekapada Vibhuti. So when we talk about yoga, yoga means, like you may remember this, I had talked about it earlier. There is something called Karma Kanda, then Karma Yoga. What's the difference between Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga? Any of you remember? Long back we had this discussion. What's the difference between Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga? Karma is same. Kanda and Yoga only have the different words. Huh? What does that mean? Any of you recollect? Uh-huh.
Karma Kanda means where you worship demigods for your own gain.
Mhm.
And Karma Yoga means in that also I think so you worship demigods only.
Mhm.
Huh. Offering fruits to the god.
Offering fruits to the Lord. Okay. Let me ask this question differently. What do Karma Kandi aim? What is his goal?
Uh,
Huh? What does he want to achieve in life?
Karma kinds aspire in material world and to please their senses.
Okay. Very good. Karma Yogi? What does Karma Yogi want to achieve
Haribol.
by his practice? Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yes, bro. So karma kandis, they use Vedic rituals to get something material out of it,
Hmm.
uh,
And?
to attain material goals. And karma yogis,
Hmm.
they aspire to provide service to the Supreme Lord. Their
Okay.
aim is to go back home, back to Godhead.
So yeah, thank you. That's in fact you defined it in the ultimate sense. So the yoga, when we add the word yoga, what happens is the goal of that particular individual becomes leaving this material existence. Karma yoga, the goal of karma yoga is to actually get rid of all the karmic bondage and transcend material existence. Right? Karma kanda, a person wants to be in material existence only. He wants to be happy in this material existence. But in karma yoga, he wants to rise above this material existence, rise above ekapada vibhuti. So karma yoga takes to certain depths. Jnana yoga takes to certain more depth. Ashtanga yoga takes to further depths. Bhakti yoga can give all that which other yogas gave, and it can take one to the highest existence in spiritual world also. So that is the path or being trained in path of yoga. So Prabhupada describes that in very essence here. In fact, when we go to mantra 15, there is different names for this. Maybe it will become more clearer. Is that okay? I'm saying it in summary here. Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
It is certain.
Yeah, you can read. It is certain.
It is certain, however, that no one can enter into the spiritual Vaikuntha planets without being trained in devotional service.
So one should be trained in this path of yoga, devotional service. And every yoga has some element of devotion in it. In Karma Yoga, a person offers the fruit. In Gnana Yoga, a person tries to know about that Supreme Person. In Dhyana Yoga, a person tries to think about that Supreme Person. And in Bhakti Yoga, a person wants to serve that Supreme Person. You know? So in every yoga, there has to be some element of devotional service. Either offering fruits, either trying to know, to think, or to serve. So that's why it is told no one can enter Vaikuntha planets without being trained in devotional service. Read ahead.
As long as this material disease continues, the living entity has to undergo the process of bodily change. Whether he takes the form of a man, demigod, or animal, he ultimately has to endure an unmanifested condition during the two devastations. The devastations during the night of Brahma and the devastation at the end of Brahma's life. If we want to put an end to this process of repeated birth and death, as well as the concatenant factors of old age and disease, we must try to enter the spiritual planets, where we can live eternally in the association of Lord Krishna or his planetary expansions, his Narayana forms.
So if one wants to rise above these pralayas, Naimittika, Prakritika, they are the names. That which happens at the end of day of Brahma, that which happens at the end of his life, and enter spiritual planet, what he has to do, he has to actually try to practice the path of yoga, bhakti yoga. So one can actually cross over death by this practice of surrender or path of yoga. So Prabhupada describes that whole thing here. He quotes Bhagavad Gita's ultimate instruction, that is surrender. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. So it is to teach this path of surrender, which is the first principle in the bhakti. It's not like first principle. It begins with surrender. It starts with surrender to Guru. The path of bhakti starts with surrender to Guru. Later, it actually evolves. One evolves in that path of surrender, and later it becomes unalloyed surrender. Prapatti or Sharanagati, it is called. So the Lord comes here to give this message of how one should follow this path of surrender, bhakti yoga. And the basic principle is development of attitude of surrender. So Prabhupada says that. So here, a little below, in this mantra, can you read this? In this mantra, Sri Ishopanishad.
In this mantra, Sri Ishopanishad teaches that one must perfectly know both Sambhuti, the personality of Godhead, and Vinasha, the temporary material manifestation, side by side.
Side by side. So this is the essential message of this Ishopanishad, this verse of the Ishopanishad. One should know Supreme Lord and the temporary world where we are. Why? Ahead Prabhupada describes. Read ahead. By knowing. Read ahead. By knowing.
By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved. For in the course of nature, there is devastation at every moment. Ahanya ahani bhutani gachchidani Himalayam.
It's a very famous verse. Any of you have heard about it? It comes in actually Mahabharata. It comes in a episode. It's called Yaksha Prashna. In Mahabharata, there is many interesting things are questioned by Yaksha to Yudhishthir. You know, at one point of time, Yaksha took away all the Pandavas, and only Yudhishthir was remaining. And Yudhishthir was asked, "I will ask you questions. If you give even one wrong answer, I will not give you Pandavas back." So Yudhishthira was asked many questions. That's called Yaksha Prashna. In that one question is this. What is this? What is the most amazing thing in this world? For which Yudhishthira replies this. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti hayamalayam. Every day, ahani, day after day, every day, bhutani, all the jivas, gachanti hayamanayam. Everyone, every day, today, tomorrow, someone or other is dying. They are all going to Yama's abode. That means they are dying. But still, Sheshas Thavaram Ichanti Kimas Charyayatah Param. But those who are living, they think that they will never die. So, the simple thing, answer that the most amazing thing in this world is people see that everyone is dying, but they think they will not die. That's the most amazing thing, according to Yudhishthira. And Yaksha told, wow, very nice. So the point is, everyone is dying. Continue ahead. Nor can one be
saved from these devastations by the opening of hospitals. One can be saved only by complete knowledge of eternal life, of bliss and awareness. The whole Vedic scheme is meant to educate men in this art of attaining eternal life. People are often misguided by the temporary attractive things based on sense gratification. But service rendered to the sense object is both misleading and degrading.
So to just know that everyone will die, everyone, death is, going to happen to everyone, will that solve? No. That is just problem statement. We define problem, right? What is the problem? First, we need to know the problem, and then we can approach for a solution. So just to know that everyone, every one day or another, they are going to die. Yes, that is fact. But how can I put an end to it? That is a different procedure. One should know. What is that? Read ahead. We must therefore
save ourselves and our fellow man in the right way. There is no question of liking or disliking the truth. It is, if we want to be saved from repeated birth and death, we must stick to the devotional service of the Lord. There can be no compromise for this matter of necessity.
Whether I believe it or not, whether I like it or not, this is fact. What? Death is going to come to everyone today or tomorrow. It is there. If one wants to be saved, then one must take to devotional service. So Prabhupada says it so in such plain words, but it is so clear. So this mantra number 14, what is told? Understand where we are and aim for the right destination. We are in material world, know the nature of this world, and then aim for spiritual world, which is actually the place of happiness, eternal happiness. So like this, mantra 14, Prabhupada concludes. So mantra 14, in one sense, actually completes that that whole section of worship and knowledge. So I think I showed you this already, if I'm not wrong. This one incident which Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur I narrated it. Hare Krishna, anyone?
No, Prabhuji. No.
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 Okay, read it. It's just shown there. One day.
One summer evening, the great saint Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati sits with a few disciples beside an open fire. Swamiji, I often see two men trying with equal determination to reach the state of Krishna consciousness. Yet, one fails, another succeeds. How is this?
How is this? Someone is asking. People are trying, different devotees are trying. Some are able to practice very well. Some are not able to continue happily. Why? What's the problem? So he says, continue.
Hey, boatman, take us to the village of...
So actually what happens here is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he narrates this story. This story is of some marriage party which wants to go to the other village. I think you may remember this.
You told the story, yes, Prabhuji.
This story I told. So this actually story is told by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he says, just like this party which wanted to go across the river, they hired the boatman. They told you row the boat. We have to reach that village next morning. They all slept. In fact, the bridegroom was dreaming. And those boatmen were rowing whole night, but yet they could not reach the destination because they had anchor not removed from the banks. Similarly, he gives a message. Read it.
Those who are anchored in the material world, anchored by their desire for sense gratification, they can never comprehend Krishna consciousness.
So those who are anchored in material world, anchored मतलब हमारा कुछ यहाँ पे है, we want to, we have some hopes of living happily in this world. Ultimately, one needs to come to this realization either by experience or by hearing, whatever, that one actually can be happy only in spiritual world with association of Lord Krishna. So till one comes to that realization, one will have to, one will be struggling. That's okay. But this realization is important for one to go to spiritual world. Those people, they could not go across because they were anchored here. Similarly, we cannot go to spiritual world if we are anchored to material world. So knowing Vinasha or material world, it actually relieves us from this anchors. And then one can row the boat properly and reach to spiritual. So like this, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives this story. Anyway, that was just a side note, but that completes mantra 14. So now we enter mantra number 15. Before we enter, any comment or question?
Prabhuji, one
Yes.
question when you're telling that basically if you are under sense gratification or that, so your boat will not move ahead. But we, on the practical basis, the devotee is sitting in this room specifically. So we are following four regulative principles. We are following everything.
Correct.
You know, what it could be for us that will not move us ahead means following everything, but there could be anything apart from doing we have to do. Means the question is, what is sense gratification beyond this four regulative following principles and everything? So even we are following, we sometimes feel that there's, we are not moving ahead, but still there.
Yeah. So what we need to do when we find some stagnation or feeling of not moving in the spiritual path, we need to actually check, where is my consciousness? The path of bhakti is more in development of attraction to Krishna, which will actually give us detachment from this world. So we need to ask these two questions. The first important question is, how much am I developing that eagerness to know Krishna, to serve Krishna, to know devotees and serve devotees? This has to be there. For that, we should come in that association of people. And second thing is, how much I'm also developing disinterest in material activities, material lifestyle. So that is, it is not just black and white. It is actually a spectrum. It is actually a path of progress. It doesn't happen just immediately. So right now we are following. Prabhupada has told chanting, doing devotional activities. This is to develop one's attraction to Krishna, Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, devotees. At the same time, Prabhupada also has told us four regulative principles, as right now you just mentioned it. So in following these four regulative principles, we are doing what is externally very, very obvious. That is, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, What's the last one? No intoxication. So these four, they have very varied, subtler meanings also. So these all also have to be very clear. We need to ultimately get rid of those subtler meanings of those regulatory principles or those sinful activities. So that happens when one actually stays in association of very eager and sincere devotees and practices that. So at our level, the ultimate realization we have to come to, it's told in this mantra, is one should actually be relieved from the all hopes or desires for enjoyment in this world. But to come to that, we need to make progressive steps, one after one after one after. So we need to see how much am I becoming consistent in my path of bhakti. First thing. Second thing, how much am I able to offer quality time in that consistency? So being consistent means being able to render devotional activities amidst upheavals. Many things come in our life, right? But amidst them, we need to keep at least the devotional activities consistent. It's a struggle. It's not the same as yesterday. Today is not the same as yesterday. It's different. And tomorrow also will not be the same. So, but struggle is to keep it consistent, steady. Just to keep steadiness, there is so much of struggle. The second is to also develop an eagerness to learn more, associate more, do more service. So this is the second aspect. So both of this requires some effort. So we need to actually take a, inventory of how I'm doing by very practical steps. The practical steps could be how I'm consistently able to do, say, reading of Prabhupada books or, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Chanting these many rounds I've been doing daily. How much I take time to complete them. How long I take it to complete in a day. How often I'm able to associate with devotees and serve them. So we should regularize it as much as possible. Of course, there are many duties which come in our way which are important. But amidst them, there should be a sincere effort. Bhakti is never done only at temple, right? Is bhakti done only at temple? Hare Krishna.
No, bro.
So it is universal. The way purely we get more inspired when we render bhakti at temple because there are more devotees, surely there. But wherever we are, we should try to have this lifestyle. We should try to inspire the people around us, be in family, be with parents, be with friends, and choose that type of association and move towards there. The goal is very lofty, but we should be inching towards that. And that way, at least our journey will be a little more happy. There will be troubles because we are in this world, but at least we have a satisfaction of aiming towards the higher goal. At the end of the day, we can at least say, yes, I tried to do this in the day, which was very meaningful in life. Like that, we should try to inch towards that. So the key things is to strive for steadiness. And second thing is to strive for higher association.
Higher what, Prabhuji? Sorry.
Higher association. Association of elevated devotees.
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So strive to keep one's activities steady. Strive to associate with senior Vaishnavas, or that will greatly boost one's bhakti. So these are some practical things we can try. That's what I understand. I hope it helps. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I had a doubt.
Yes.
So, Prabhuji, in all the shlokas till now, till 14, we see the mention of the supreme controller, the supreme personality of Godhead, the complete whole.
Correct.
There's no mention of Krishna or the name Vishnu also, I guess. In Mantra 14, especially you see, Prabhupada mentions Sri Krishna, even though it's not there in the shloka,
Correct.
in the translation. So, can you explain, Prabhu?
Okay, how is it that he is giving that name like that? So
Yes,
last time we
please.
did discuss on why Upanishads don't directly talk about God, uh, the Supreme Person. Why don't they directly mention his name and all? This is the nature of Upanishads. Upanishads don't directly give the description of absolute truth. Yes, because the nature of Jnana Kanda is like that. They give ample scope for using one's intelligence because one has the pride of having intelligence. So one is using it in understanding the Upanishads verses. And later he was actually put to test. In fact, these verses which we just now saw, 9 to 11, and they are very complicated verses. One will get confused if one just goes by intellectual means. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas, they give the right meanings. They reveal what is the actual intent of this verse or the actual intent of the author Vyasadeva. So, there is a truth, but it is not given directly because the audience of this literature are not having that Shraddha. But when an Acharya like Srila Prabhupada, he can reveal even devotional meanings in these texts because that is the intent of the author. You're getting? So he unlocks those meanings. He can give those meanings. Like in the very next verse, you will see Prabhupada gives an amazing translation, right, which shows how bhakti is the actual conclusion of Ishopanishad. The next verse is coming. It actually tells about the Lord having form. So far, there was no much description of the form of Lord. Now it is coming ahead. So it's that these acharyas, they can actually tell the true meanings of or the true intent of Vyasadeva, the true meanings of the verses, so they can bring it to the world. Is that okay?
Okay, bro. Okay.
Fine. One last question and I will go to the next verse. Okay, last question. I will take questions at the end of again. No? Let's have this one question now and later. Yes.
Roji, you said now that it is the nature of Upanishads to not describe the nature of God directly. But we see in the Gita Upanishad when Krishna says that Tetat Yonini Bhutani, where Krishna explicitly talks about that he is the Supreme Lord.
Correct.
So isn't it contradictory then?
Gita Upanishad is a very special Upanishad. Technically, it is not Upanishad, but it is given the name Gita Upanishad by Acharyas because it is given by Lord Krishna only directly. It is spoken by Lord Krishna directly. That's why it's Upanishad. Upanishads actually come as part of Shruti from the breath of the Lord. Correct, no? You remember Shruti and Smriti, these two things we had long back discussed. And Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Lord only, no? Mukha Padmad Vinisrata. So that way, Bhagavad Gita, though it is Smriti, though it is part of Itihasa, which is Mahabharata, still it is equated with Upanishad and that is Gita Upanishad. So Upanishad stature is given, and since Lord himself is speaking to his dear devotee Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita knowledge, who is the recipient of that knowledge, the primary recipient? It is Arjuna, who is a devotee, who has that Shraddha. That's why Lord is revealing all the higher truths to him. Are you understanding? So the readers of Upanishads usually are not devotees. They don't have that Shraddha on Bhagavan, on path of Bhakti. That's why the verses don't directly describe that. Is that okay, Prabhu? Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Anything more on that question you have, or should we go ahead?
If you can more elaborate about why Gita Upanishad is different than other Upanishads, then it will be more.
Gita Upanishad, you see, the primary thing I just now mentioned is Gita Upanishad. Who is the hearer in Gita Upanishad? Arjuna. And what are his qualifications according to Bhagavad Gita? Do you remember?
He is non-envious.
He is non-envious. That's very good. Any other? That's
He's-
the highest, in fact. Any other qualification?
He is a close friend, devotee of the Lord.
Bhaktosi me sakha cheti, hai na? He's a bhakta. So because he is bhakta, Lord also tells, I am going to give you the highest knowledge. He tells many places like that. The most confidential knowledge I am to give. And later he declares that I am the greatest. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. Right? So because that Arjuna is so qualified, Lord is giving complete spiritual knowledge. But in Upanishads, the hearers are not so. That's why Lord is not giving complete spiritual description. Okay?
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, let us proceed to mantra 15. Any questions I'll take at the end of this session again. So mantra 15 to mantra 19 is another section of Ishopanishad. This is the last section of Ishopanishad, mantra 18. Mantra 15, 16, 17, and 18. This is the section of prayers. So Ishopanishad concludes at prayers. Just see, this Upanishad has prayers as its last part. What does this mean? This means that it wants to tell you have to ultimately pray to that Supreme Person. The conclusion is path of bhakti. Is it not? Among the 9 activities of bhakti, is there prayer? What is it called? What is it called? Is there any limb called prayer? Like among the 9 activities of bhakti, is there any limb called prayer? Okay, at least list the 9 activities of bhakti.
Vandanam.
Vandanam. Just see. So Ishopanishad is actually concluding at Vandanam, prayers. But these prayers, for what purpose? So the first 2 mantras say, please, O Supreme Person, reveal your form. We are not able to see your form. Please show us your form. These 2 shlokas say. The last 2 mantras actually tell, O Supreme Person, please give us your mercy. Please forgive us if we have done something not right. And please guide us. So they say these prayers. So it's a very interesting how these prayers actually come at the last. This goes to show that Ishopanishad is actually hinting at bhakti. So let us go to these prayers. So mantra 15 is a very famous verse. It is famous because in Upanishads, if someone says the Upanishads actually talk about the supreme truth as impersonal, here is their weak point. What is that? Just see, Ishopanishad tells about the supreme truth having a form, having a face. It is told here. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham
Tasyapihitam mukam
tattvam pushan apavrunu
tattvam pusham apavarum
satya dharmaya drishtaye.
Dharmaya drishtaye.
This verse, very literally, even if one doesn't know much of the Sanskrit, he can at least locate these words, mukham, which means face. So it's very clear in this Upanishad. It's told that Supreme Truth has a face. Of course, the face is covered by great light, Hiranmaya, shining light, golden light. And the prayer of this mantra is, please remove that light so that we can see your face. O Supreme Person. There are different names for that Supreme Person. Two names very famous here told. Pushan. One name is called Pushan. What is Pushan? Just check the word meaning. Huh? Say again. Pushan. Sustainer. You must have heard the word Poshan. Poshan. Poshan means one who gives nourishment. So similarly, Pushan means one who gives portion is called Pushan. Another name of the Supreme Person told here is Satya. That's two names of Supreme Person are mentioned. Of course, they are indirect, but they are hinting at that Supreme Person. Read the translation, anyone? Oh my Lord.
Sustainer of all great lives. Your real face is covered by dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee.
So, oh Lord, I'm trying to render devotional service, following your Ishavasya Tattva. I have understood what is the right knowledge, right worship. Please show your real face. So this is the prayer. So this prayer, literally, it actually defeats those who say absolute truth is impersonal. So one of the important purposes of Prabhupada translating Ishopanishad is this. There were two important purposes. First one was to show how to live in this world, Ishavasya Tattva. Second was to show how this Upanishad actually tells the absolute truth is Supreme Person. He is person, he is having form. I had told this earlier also, I am seeing again. The second purpose actually becomes more clear in these last mantras. So Prabhupada in the purport starts describing how Bhagavan, the ultimate personal form of Lord, is the source of Brahman, Nirakara Brahman, and Sarvavyapi Paramatma, localized Paramatma. So he quotes Bhagavad Gita verse. This verse actually comes in 14th chapter. Read the translation below. I am the basis. Read it.
I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal.
And
Which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
so the shloka says, clearly you see this, Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. Aham means who here? Aham. Aham means I, right? What does I mean here? Who is telling the shloka?
Supreme Personality, his person.
Bhagavan Krishna. Is it not? Directly Krishna is speaking. So he is telling Aham Brahmanaha hi pratishtha. Have you heard this word pratishtha? What is the meaning of pratishtha? Like sometimes, no, not that pratishtha of pride. Sometimes you hear this word प्रतिष्ठापन,
Hmm.
उसका अर्थ क्या है? व्हाट्स द मीनिंग?
Something established as a discipline, can we say?
हाँ, प्रतिष्ठापन, it's a function of beginning or foundation, is it not? Pratishthapan, isn't it? It's like a basis. So Krishna is saying aham brahmanah hi pratishtha, I am the basis or foundation of Brahman, impersonal Brahman. So very clearly Krishna says in Gita that I am the foundation or basis of Brahman, I am the source of Brahman. And another place in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says this famous verse. This translation is here. What need is there? Can you read this? But what need
What
is there?
is there, Arjuna? For all this detailed knowledge, with a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Thus, by his
Read
one,
the head also. Uh,
thus,
thus,
by his one planetary expansion, the all-pervading Paramatma, the Lord maintains the complete material cosmic creation.
so Paramatma means one who is existing everywhere in a form, in the form of a person, Paramatma. So all pervading Paramatma. So Krishna is saying, with a single fragment, I pervade and support. So this also shows that I am the source of this Paramatma, which is present everywhere, pervaded everywhere in this universe. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is telling that he is the source of both Brahman and Paramatma. You see? So Prabhupada actually, what did he establish by this? He established that Bhagavan is the source of Brahman and Paramatma. So in simple words, Brahman, he is present everywhere but doesn't have form. Paramatma, present everywhere but has form. Bhagavan, he is not present in this world. He is present in spiritual world. He may come sometime to this world as avatars, as archa vigrahas. That's different. But where is the actual place of Bhagavan? It is spiritual world. And what does he do there? So Prabhupada describes, the Shastras describe what are the activities of Bhagavan. Like Prabhupada says, when Bhagavan was present at Vrindavan, when he came to this world, what did he do? He did many childhood pastimes. He killed many demons. He enjoyed with his devotees, his mother, brother, his friends, many like that. He had a great happy time. So Bhagavan, he doesn't have any job. Brahman and Paramatma have some duties. Paramatma has very clear description of his function. Any of you know what are the activities of Paramatma? What does he do? What does Paramatma do?
Paramatma is residing in the heart of living entity, first
Okay.
of all. And he encourages the living entity for somewhere or the other to get some spiritual this thing.
Really? Is that so?
He is a translator of Chaitya Guru, is it?
Translator of Chaitya Guru. Okay, Chaitya Guru is another meaning name for Paramatma only. Yeah. Okay, anything more Paramatma apart from this? There are some basic functions of Paramatma.
He,
He is also called Antaryami, right? What is it? What are his
He's
functions?
there in the heart, looking at what we are doing.
Uh-huh.
Observer, as Prabhuji is saying, an observer.
Observer, as a witness. That's the right word. He's like a witness. Okay. By witness, what does he mean? What does it mean? He's witness to our activities. What is the intent? Means what? Like say, suppose someone does some crime, you want a witness, right? To prove that he did crime. Huh? So similarly,
Prabhuji, can we put it in this way? Just like a mother is witnessing her child and she's taking care of him so that he won't do the wrong stuff. So
Okay.
similarly, Paramatma also inspires us to the right stuff if
Yes.
our intent,
Yes. So Paramatma, surely, as Prabhu pointed, he gives us the right voice from within. We say that word, no, conscience, huh? Antaratma, whatever people say. Huh? So that's right. At the same time, he is also a witness to our activities. He gives us karma phala. Whatever actions one does, the reactions are sanctioned by Paramatma. What is the proof that I did some activity? Oh, Paramatma saw that. You can't say that you did something without Paramatma seeing. No, Paramatma is always seeing what a jiva is doing, right? So there cannot be any greater witness than Paramatma. So Paramatma, he knows and he gives us what is our reaction. He gives us karma phala. He is like a neutral, udasin. He is just actually without partiality. He is giving whatever is due for us. But if someone wants to take a right step, he encourages. Like some of you are telling, he inspires, he becomes like Chaitya Guru. That's in a very advanced sense. But usually for all the jivas, Paramatma is just a witness and he sanctions the karmic results. So that is his duty. So Brahman is present everywhere. Paramatma is sanctioner and witness. And Bhagavan, what is his duty? There is no duty for him. Bhagavan actually has happy time. Like Prabhupada mentions here. Everything. Can you read this?
Everything the Lord did in Vrindavana was for the pleasure of his associates there. Lord created these pastimes to attract the dry speculators and the acrobats of so-called Hatha Yoga system who wish to find the absolute truth.
So why does Lord do these leelas here? He can be happy in spiritual world, right? Bhagavan's place is spiritual world. Why he has to come to this world? What is his intent? From these lines, what is the intent of Bhagavan's coming?
To attract the dry speculators, basically attract us towards his leelas by doing this leelas. We can
Attract all conditioned souls like us so that we can desire to go in his association. So all those great pious souls who were in leelas with him, they were very fortunate. They are great devotees. They have attained that position because they have done immense bhakti activities. So Lord does several type of activities when he comes, the Bhagavan. He does activities in what is called Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryaras. Because his devotees wants to exchange that kind of love, he reciprocates with that kind of activities. So, like this, the Bhagavan is very colorful, very wonderful, filled with happiness, varieties of happiness. And all of those experiences are eternal. There is no threat of death or end. So Prabhupada describes the nature of Bhagavan, Brahman, and Paramatma. And Bhagavan is the source of Brahman and Paramatma. So among these three actually are one only, but it is revealed according to the worshipper. If someone has not much developed spiritual sense, he may understand absolute truth as Brahman. If one has developed much more spiritual sense, he may understand the absolute truth as Paramatma. But one who has developed fully, he will see this absolute truth as Bhagavan. So there are many different types of spiritual paths. There are spiritual paths, some names Prabhupada says here, called Sankhya, Jnana, Yoga, and bhakti. These are all different spiritual paths. So Prabhupada describes them. Can you read this paragraph? This system.
This system of God realization is a great science. The materialistic Sankhya yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation.
So please pay attention. These each paths have some interesting details to them. So please do not miss out on them. Okay.
For
Yes.
they very little information on Purusha, the Lord, and the impersonal transcendentalist are simply bewildered by the glaring effulgence of the Brahma Jyoti. One wants to see the absolute truth in full. One has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. Ishopanishad points towards this direction, praying for the removal of the Hiranyamaya Patra, dazzling covering of the Lord. Unless this covering is removed, so one can perceive the real face of personality of Godhead. Factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved.
So please note it here. There are two paths described so far among the four. First one is Sankhya. What does Sankhya involve?
Atma, Atma and the relation between body and soul. Soul.
Body and soul. Okay. Anything more? Soul, surely. Some. See here, some very clear things are told. Analyze.
Are you asking about Sankhya yogis, Prabhuji, or Sankhya word specifically?
Means Sankhya yogis practice Sankhya. So I am asking in general about their understanding and their process.
They basically, they don't know, they do not believe that Lord has a shape. And Rupa, they believe they does not have a shape, and they, as written there, that meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation rather than, worshipping the Lord or doing as a practically worshipping the Lord.
Yeah. So, very right. Thank you. Little more details on this. Sankhya path is to understand what is matter. So they understand matter as being ultimately made up of these 24 elements. We have seen these 24 elements earlier. We may recollect 5 Panchamahabhutas, Jnanendriya, Karmendriyas, then the Tanmatras, 20 it became, then Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, and Chitta, total 24 of them. So everything in this world, material world, is made up of these 24 elements. So they understand matter like this. They analyze everything like this. And meditate that everything is ultimately this matter. You see, even the wonderful sweets, gulab jamun, let's say, for example, what is it made up of? It's made up of some earth element, some fire element, some water element, maybe some other elements. Whatever taste we feel is actually made up of these elements only. So everything like this, one becomes very detached. He sees everything as being made up of 1 or 2 or 3 or some combination of these 24 elements only. It appears very attractive, that's all. So by this kind of analysis and meditation, they develop detachment. And they have very little understanding of Purusha, it is mentioned here. So the path of Sankhya involves two things: Purusha, Prakriti. Prakriti is material world. Purusha is actually the, how do I say? Purusha is the one who enjoys Prakriti. We can also say that way. But they have very little understanding. Their main focus is this world as being temporary and develop detachment from this world. The other side, the next path, what is that next path? Impersonal transcendentalist. That's the path of jnana. So what do they aim or understand? They actually understand absolute truth. Oh, it is beyond this material world, but it is impersonal. Their understanding is also. So beyond the path of jnana is the path of yoga. The path of yoga actually helps one understand Paramatma. See, in the path of jnana, one tries to understand Brahma Jyoti. If I have to put it in simple words here, you see here, the path of Sankhya, what is the understanding they have? This material part. The path of jnana, one step higher. What is the understanding of absolute truth they have?
Impersonal Brahman.
Impersonal Brahman. The path of yoga, the absolute truth is understood as Paramatma. Okay? And higher than this is Bhakti, where one actually understands Bhagavan. But before even entering Bhakti, Prabhupada is describing Paramatma. So when we say Paramatma, there are actually, it's not just one person. So Prabhupada says Paramatma is actually 3 avatars. It's not one form of Lord. There are 3. Read this ahead. The Paramatma feature.
The Paramatma feature of the personality of Godhead is one of 3 plenary expansions or Vishnu Tattvas, collectively known as Purusha Avtaras. One of these Vishnu Tattvas who is within the universe is known as Aksharodakshaya Vishnu.
Yeah.
He is the Vishnu among the 3 principal deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. And he is the all-pervading Paramatma in each and every individual living entity. Second Vishnu Tattva within the universe is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the collective super soul of all living entities. On this to below this to is Karnodakshaya Vishnu, who lies in the casual ocean. He is the creator of all universes. The yoga system teaches the serious student to meet the Vishnu Tattvas after going beyond the 24 material elements of cosmic creation.
Let's just pause here. So what it said is, okay, usually we think Paramatma as someone who is there in everyone's heart. That's right. But there is little more to that word Paramatma. What is that? The Paramatma is actually called by, the name Paramatma is told for the 3 personalities. You see, the super soul, the word super soul is used, right? So the usual meaning of Paramatma is one who is situated in everyone's heart, that is Kshirodakashaya. Is Paramatma for each jiva. At the same time, there is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. He is the super soul or Paramatma of the entire universe, Brahmanda. There is Karanodakashaya Vishnu. He is the Paramatma of the whole material existence. Just usually we think Paramatma means one who is staying in everyone's heart. That's right. But Paramatma has much broader meaning also. So one who actually practices the path of yoga, he actually realizes these 3 Paramatmas. That's what Prabhupada describes there. So Paramatma realization is the path of yoga. Okay, let us read ahead. A little more Prabhupada describes. Now, the culture of, can you read here? The culture of.
The culture of empiric philosophy helps one realize the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, which is the glaring effulgence of the transcendental body of Lord Krishna.
So this is the path of jnana. The path of jnana gives Brahma Sakshatkar or Brahman realization. The path of yoga or jnana, it gives jnana yoga, or usually it's dhyana yoga, it's specifically called. That gives Paramatma realization. And the path of Bhakti yoga gives Bhagavan realization. So very clearly, the realizations are listed. So in the Brahma Samhita, there is this very famous verse which says how the jivas are actually situated in this Brahma Jyoti, which is the effulgence of Lord. Yasya Prabha Prabhavatu. They are all situated in the Prabha, the shine, the glare of that Supreme Person Bhagavan. That glare or the shine is called as Brahma. Brahma Jyoti. It is Nishkalam. It is Anantam. It is not having any fault. It is unending. And all the Brahmandas, they are actually situated in this Brahman. So this Brahman is actually coming from where? It is Prabha, Yasya Prabha. It is the shine of that Supreme Person, Bhagavan, Govinda. So by this mantra, Prabhupada says something very striking. Read this mantra from Brahma Samhita.
This mantra from Brahma Samhita is spoken from the platform of factual realization of the absolute truth. And the Shruti mantra of Sri Ishopanishad under discussion confirms this mantra as a process of realization. The Ishopanishad mantra is simply prayer of the Lord to remove the Brahma Jyoti so that one can see his real face.
So this prayer which we are seeing, the prayer in this mantra which was described, which says that, oh Lord, please remove your face. That was the mantra, right? Please remove your face. Why is it telling remove face? Because the Lord is covered with the shine of Brahma Jyoti. The prayer by this one who is saying this mantra is, oh Lord, remove that shine from your face so that I can see your face, your beautiful form. That form is Bhagavan. And from that Bhagavan comes the Paramatmas, the Brahma Jyoti. Everything is coming from him. And what is the way to see that Bhagavan? What is the procedure to see Bhagavan? It is bhakti. Not Sankhya, not Jnana, not Yoga, but bhakti. So Prabhupada describes that path of bhakti. So at the end of part of this particular purport, Prabhupada quotes from Mundaka Upanishad, where this shine of Lord is described. And how can one understand that Supreme Person is also told. In the spiritual realm, can you read this? In the spiritual realm.
In the spiritual realm, beyond the material covering is the unlimited Brahman effulgence, free from material contamination. The effulgent white light is understood by transcendentalists to be the light of all lights. In that realm, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity for illumination. Indeed, whatever illumination appears in the material world is only a reflection of that supreme illumination. The Brahman is in front and in back, and in north, south, east, and west. So overhead and below. In other words, that supreme Brahman effulgence spreads throughout both the material and spiritual skies.
So that Brahma Jyoti, the source of that Brahma Jyoti is Bhagavan. And that Bhagavan, that Brahma Jyoti, it pervades everything. Everywhere in this existence, this Brahma Jyoti is spread. Whatever light we see, be it sunlight, moonlight, is actually coming from that Brahma Jyoti. It is also described like that. So, like this, we can understand how Bhagavan actually is the source of everything. So, the complete realization of the absolute truth is Bhagavan. Okay, one may understand that supreme truth to be present everywhere, that is Brahman, or it is also having form but present everywhere, that's Paramatma. But to completely understand that absolute truth is Bhagavan. So Prabhupada describes that last part. Read, perfect knowledge means.
Perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna as the root of this Brahman effulgence. Knowledge can be gained from such scriptures as Srimad Bhagavatam.
So this kind of description is, of course, we saw Brahma Samhita, we just now saw Mundaka Upanishad, but this description of the truth is found in scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which actually describe how this Bhagavan Krishna is the source of all, cause of all causes. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, it begins like that. You may remember Janmad Yasya Yataha. He, one who is the source of everything, one who is the maintainer of everything, sustainer of everything. Like that, in the very beginning, the first verse of Bhagavatam itself describes absolute truth like this. So this kind of description is found in scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam alone. So the conclusion. So how do we understand this Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan? These are all actually one truth only. But how much one realizes that truth, to that degree, he has understood it, and it is called by a name. Like, say, simple example, I may know a very great person, say, for example, a minister, or maybe for an example, a prime minister. I know prime minister as someone who controls the whole country. Oh, yes, yes. I know prime minister as someone who actually is sitting at a particular place in Delhi. At the same time, he is having his representation in the state, in the legislative assembly, even in my wards. He has some representation. There are many people who represent that prime minister. Oh, that's right. Prime minister is right. I may know prime minister as a person who is loved by his mother, father. He has specific likes. He likes to do this. This is all further understanding of that person, prime minister. Very close understanding of that person. So that one truth, in this case, that one person, prime minister, I may know him to various degree. And that understanding is called by different names in this context of absolute truth. So the conclusion, can you read this? The conclusion is
that one who has no knowledge of the potencies of supreme truth will realize the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, when one realizes the material potencies of the Lord but has little or no information about the spiritual potencies, he attains Paramatma
realization.
Thus, both Brahman and Paramatma realization of the absolute truth are partial realizations. However, when one realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, in full potency after the removal of the Maya Patra, one realizes Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Lord Sri Krishna, who is known as Vasudev, is everything.
It's to be called Vasudev, not Vasudev.
Vasudev. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. He is Bhagwan, the root, and Brahman and Paramatma are his branches.
So the absolute truth has two types of potencies in very broad sense. One is material potency. That means potencies with respect to this world, material world. Creation, maintenance, destruction, many things around this world. That is Paramatma. So one who understands the absolute truth as Paramatma, who has these abilities of creation, destruction, all that maintenance, that is Paramatma realization. One who doesn't understand that God has potencies, that is Brahman realization. Next is Paramatma realization. But one who knows, oh, God has spiritual potencies also. He has unlimited activities in spiritual world. He has these amazing potencies. These are spiritual potencies in his Leela. So that is the complete, that is Bhagavan realization. And that Bhagavan is the root of all. So Bhagavan is the complete realization. Now one who pursues Bhagavan, he is called Bhakta. He is the highest spiritual practitioner. This is told in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, the last part of 6th chapter, there are many types of yogis. Some may be doing tapasya, some may be doing jnana, some may be doing karma. Among all of them, the yogis, one who aim for getting out of this world, they are the best. Tapasvibhyo dhiko yogi, jnanibhyo pi matodhika. Like that Krishna says. But last shloka in this chapter, 6th chapter, he says, among all the yogis, yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana. Among all the yogis, this Bhakti yogi is the best. He is dearmost to me. So, in summary, read this. In summary,
a philosopher is better than a laboring man.
Yeah.
A mystic is superior to a philosopher. And of all the mystic yogis, he who follows Bhakti Yoga, constantly engaging in the service of Lord, is the highest.
highest. So, philosopher means jnani.
Yeah.
Laboring man means, can someone guess? Karmi.
Karmi, yes.
Mystic means yogi. Okay, in simple words. So Prabhupada has given very simple words there. So Gnani is better than Karmi. You see this? Are you getting this? A philosopher is better than, superior to laboring man. And a yogi is better than what? A yogi is better than
Yogi is better than
philosopher. What does philosopher mean? Huh? A yogi is better than jnani. And of all the yogis, he who follows Bhakti Yoga is highest. So, in other words, what does Prabhupada indicate? It's this title. I titled it before itself. The highest spiritualist or transcendental is Bhakta. That's the final proof, Prabhupada, final statement he puts it across. So the highest realization of the absolute truth is Bhagavan, and the highest spiritualist is Bhakta. So in this chapter, in this mantra number 15, in the beginning, Prabhupada said that the shloka says that the devotee is praying, "Oh Lord, please remove your shining glare or effulgence so that I can see your face." So this goes to show that that Supreme Truth has face, Baba. That's why this person is praying. Those who say, that Supreme Truth doesn't have face, see, this word is saying Mukham. How can you say it doesn't have face? So Prabhupada points that out, how Bhagavan Krishna is the source of Brahman and Paramatma. Then we also saw Sankhya, Gnana, Yoga, and Bhakti. And lastly, we saw how Bhagavan realization is highest and Bhakta is the superior, highest spiritualist or transcendence. Of course, these are very lofty spiritual truths. They actually get described in Bhagavad Gita in more greater detail. So Prabhupada is bringing a lot of principles from Bhagavad Gita and explaining here. So that completes mantra 15. Actually, mantra 16 is no different. It actually follows the same thread. There is little more explanation of this principle of Lord's face. So that is described in mantra 16. So we will see that mantra 16 also in little time which we have. It's just a continuation of that.
Guruji, can we have question answers?
We'll have question answers, surely. We'll have question answers. Just that I want to do a little more of this because it's the same thread. We'll take that and then I'll take question answers after 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes. Okay? Mantra 16. Pushan ekarshe Yamasurya Prajapatya Vyuharashmin Samoha Tejo Yatte Rupam Kalyanatamam Tatte Pashyami Yosav Asau Purushah Sohamasmi. This verse is little like prose. It's a very difficult verse to chant, but nonetheless, it has great meaning. So the meaning If you see these two words, two verses, mantra 15 and 16, there is one word which is repeated. Check. Mantra 15 and 16, one word is repeated. Yes, say it.
Pushan is repeating. No?
Pushan is repeated. So the Pushan means, as I told earlier, what is the meaning of Pushan? I described it earlier.
Poshan, who provides nourishment.
One who gives Poshana, is it not? One who gives maintenance or nourishment, he is called Pushan. So that person, supreme person, is called by the name Pushan. In mantra 15, the two names were told, Satya and Pushan. In the mantra 16, that same Pushan is addressed by few more names. Many names, in fact. Hey Pushan, Hey Ekarshe, Hey Yama, Hey Surya, Hey Prajapatya. These are all the names of that Pushan, synonyms of that supreme person. So these are names. What is it? Okay, you're telling so many names of this supreme person. What is the purpose? Vyuha Rashmin Samoha. This again tells the same prayer. What is the prayer? Please remove this light. I can't see your beautiful face. Here the word face is in fact given little more meaning. Rupam. A form. You see? It's becoming more clear, no? Now, their Mukham was told, here Rupam is coming. The form. This form is Kalyanatamam. It is the highest benefit it renders. It gives great auspiciousness. I want to see this Pashyami. Because by seeing, I develop that attraction to serve that form, and I will attain spiritual nature. I will be fit to serve that form, spiritual nature, Sohamasmi. Read translation, O my Lord.
O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of the pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like unto the sun, as am I.
See the word Pushan, we saw. Pushan word is described in the very beginning. Pushan, Ekarshe, the word meaning Ekarshe means primeval philosopher. You are like the Ekar Rishi, philosopher. Pushan means maintainer. Then Yama means what? See the translation. What is the meaning of Yama given?
The regulating principle.
Regulate. Yama is the one who controls or regulates. Yama, Niyam. Niyam, hum sunte na, ye word mein Niyam. Yam. Then Surya. What is the meaning of Surya told?
The destination of the Suris, great devotees.
Or pure devotees. The one meaning of Surya is destination of pure devotees. Then, of course, Prajapatya, well-wisher of progenitors or Prajapatis. So the prayer is, please remove the effulgence. Please remove this glare, shine, so that I can see your beautiful form, Rupam. So Prabhupada describes the nature of that form. But before going to that, there is one very interesting word told in this shloka, which is often misinterpreted. Soham asmi. Soham. Soham means, like some people chant also, Soham, Soham. Soham karte hain. Soham means what? Saha aham. I am that. That's the literal meaning. Now, people may interpret it as feeling that, oh, just see, the jiva can become equal to that God. So hamasmi. So Prabhupada says, no, this meaning is not intended actually. What is the intended meaning? The meaning is qualitative oneness. Just like an example is given. Read it. The sun
and its rays are one of the qualitatively. Same qualitatively. Similarly, the Lord and the living entities are one and the same in quality. Sun is one, but the molecules of the sun rays are innumerable. The sun rays constitute part of the sun, and the sun and its rays conjointly constitute the complete sun. Within the sun itself resides the sun god, and similarly, within the supreme spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan, from which the Brahma Jyoti effulgence is emanating, the Lord enjoys his eternal pastimes as verified in the Brahma Samhita.
So the meaning told here is that qualitatively one. Soham asmi means I will become in quality that one, that supreme person. The supreme person is spiritual in nature. I will attain that spiritual nature. Soham asmi. Like aham brahmasmi. It's also told like that. So sun and its rays, the rays of the sun are equal in quality with the sun. The sun has infinite rays. One ray among them is sun ray. It is qualitatively equal, but you cannot say that one sun ray will illuminate like a sun. No. Sun is source of infinite sun rays. So the quantitative difference should be noted. You cannot equate in every way. No. So Prabhupada says how from that supreme person the Brahma Jyoti is coming. It is described how the supreme person, he is having unlimited variety in spiritual world. That Brahma Jyoti is described. Chintamani Prakara Sadma, Chintamani Dhama. So the spiritual world is described. The impersonal philosophers, they misunderstand this spiritual effulgence to be the highest truth. So Prabhupada describes that here. Can you read this, Prabhu? The Brahma Jyoti is described.
It is described in the Brahma Samhita as the rays emanating from the supreme spiritual planet Golok Vrindavan. Just as the sun rays emanate from the sun globe, until one surpasses the glare of Brahma Jyoti, one cannot receive information of the land of the Lord. The impersonalist philosophers, blinded as they are by the dazzling Brahma Jyoti, can realize neither the factual abode of the Lord nor his transcendental form. Limited to their poor fund of knowledge, such impersonalist thinkers cannot understand the all blissful transcendental form of the Lord. In this prayer, therefore, Sri Isopanishad petitions the Lord to give the effulgent rays of the Brahma Jyoti so that the pure devotee can see his all blissful transcendental form.
So it is, one should have the right understanding of how Brahma Jyoti is actually inferior to Bhagavan. Inferior to Bhagavan. It is not the highest truth. Say, like, in the earlier shloka, we saw about what is this? Different spiritual paths, right? So I want to clarify one thing, very important thing here. See, in the path of jnana, what does one understand the highest truth as? What is one's understanding of highest truth?
Impersonal Brahman.
Impersonal Brahman. Nirakara Brahman, right. Now, there are some people who understand Nirakara Brahman to be the highest. They are called as Brahmavans. They understand, okay, they may not have knowledge about Bhagavan. They don't know so much about Bhagavan. Or even if they know, they don't have attraction to Bhagavan. But there are another kind of people who consider Bhagavan to be inferior to Brahman. They tell that this Bhagavan actually is coming from Brahman. Ultimate thing is Brahma Jyoti. And this Bhagavan, whenever he comes to this world, he is material like us. Just see the material modes acting on this Bhagavan. This Bhagavan is inferior. This Brahma Jyoti is superior. So to say like this is offensive. So below we have put two words here. One is called Brahmavadi, another is called Mayavadi. These are two different words. So Brahmavadi is a stage in the highest, in the path of perfection. It's one stage, Brahmavadi. What is that? He may understand Brahma Jyoti, but he may not have understanding of Bhagavan yet. Or he may have, but he may not have attraction to Bhagavan. I will give you an example. You know 4 Kumaras, right? 4 Kumaras, Chatush Kumaras. Which path of spiritual practice were they in? Sankhya, Jnana, Yoga, or Bhakti? Yeah.
Buddhi.
Say again.
Buddhi.
I can't hear it.
They were saying, Prabhuji is saying, they were Brahmavadi.
Brahmavad. Yes, they were Brahmavadis. Until the time they actually came to that doorstep of Vaikuntha and that whole Leela happened. Lord Vishnu came and they became attracted to Bhagavan. After that they became Bhakti, Bhaktas. Is it not? So until then they were Brahmavadis. So they were not Mayavadis, they were Brahmavadis. They knew that there is Bhagavan. He stays in Vaikuntha. They knew, though they were in the stage of Jnana. Just see. So, but had they developed attraction to Bhagavan before that Leela? No. So, Brahmavad is not offensive. But what is offensive, what is very bad, destructive to the soul, is Mayavad. Mayavad is to consider Bhagavan to be inferior to Brahmajyoti. To insult Lord's form by saying like that. So that is very, very offensive. In fact, one equates oneself to be God. That's very offensive. Anyway, this principle actually becomes more very clear because when people say Soham Asmi, as I am God, that is which type of the true realization? Which one is this? I can't hear it. Sorry.
Mayavad.
Mayavad. Yeah. Mayavad. So that's offensive. But the true meaning of Soham Asmi is qualitative equal, not quantitative. The true meaning of Soham Asmi. Anyway, this is much more coming ahead in this purport. I will discuss this in the next session because there is a lot of philosophical concepts which one may feel very exhausted by that. Okay. Thank you very much. So today, what did we do? We completed little of mantra 14. We had left mantra 15. We started and then we completed it. Mantra 16, we have started. Okay. So maybe in another 2 sessions, we will be able to complete the remaining part of Ishopanishad. There are around 2.5 shlokas ahead. They are very simple concepts which go continuous. So you can all plan to prepare for your exams. Okay. And I have already discussed the open book question, one of them. In fact, 2 also. Second one also I have discussed. Any more questions on that, we will see later. So thank you very much. I conclude today's session here. We will meet again next Sunday. Any questions or comments you have, you can wait. Others can log off. I think some of you are waiting for shloka test also. So those can also stay back. Shri Ishopanishad ki jai. Hare Krishna. Yes, any question, comment? No question.
फर्स्ट वर्स लिया था हमने 14th उसमें आपने कहा था जब पार्शियल डेविस्टेशन होता है तब जो जीवात्मा होता है वो गौबतोक्षाई विष्णु के अंदर मर्ज होते हैं और जब कंप्लीट डेविस्टेशन होता है तब श्री दुक्षाई विष्णु के अंदर मर्ज होते हैं तो आप इस
I
पे
don't know.
तो आप एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं ऐसे क्यों और ऐसे क्यों होता है?
So, what happens at the end of the second type of pralaya is the whole Brahmanda is destroyed. Lord Vishnu as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he is not destroyed. But he becomes unmanifest. Garbhodakshay Vishnu actually comes from Karanadakshay Vishnu's expansion only, is it not? He is the expansion of Karanadakshay Vishnu. So, which is the shelter for the jivas after the whole Brahmanda is destroyed? That is
Karanadakshay.
Vishnu. Because next time Karanadakshay Vishnu, he exhales and another Brahmanda comes, right? That's how another Brahmanda comes. That time, Garbhodakshay Vishnu comes, right? Is there no within that Brahmanda?
Yes.
Yeah. That time, these jivas go and that Garbhodakshay Vishnu. It's actually one tattva only, all those Paramatmas, Garbhodakshay, Karanadakshay, and all. But how is the whole transfer happens? It's through the actually. Okay, Pulu?
Yes, Praja.
Any other comment or question from others? Okay.
So, Proji, Karanadakshay Vishnu does not get submerged or merged in any other this thing, because if we see the expansion, first from starting, that is Prabhav Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. So according to that it comes. So there is some sort of hierarchy above Karanadakshay Vishnu also. Na? So then if we would take
That's in the spiritual realm. See, all those avatars expansions, they are in the spiritual world. You know, there are unlimited expansions and varieties there. I will not go to that. I think some names you mentioned, Vaibhava Prakash, Prabhava Prakash, on that. But Paramatma Tattva is actually in touch with the material world. In touch with, in the sense, it is in relation to material world. We don't say in touch, in relation to material world. The Purushavataras, the three types of Paramatmas, their function is in relation to material world, right? Karanadakshayi, Vishnu, he exhales and there is creation. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, from his nabhi, the Kamalas appear and there is creation. Is it not? And at the end of Pralaya, these Vishnus are the place where the Jivas take shelter of. You see? So their whole activities are in relation to material. They don't have the Leelas like the Leela avatars. These avatars are called Purusha avatars.
So even if the Mahapralaya comes, then also Karnodakshay Vishnu continues to survive.
Yeah, he doesn't get this. Yeah. There is always material world, right? The material world doesn't get destroyed. The pralayas keep happening because some part of the creation gets destroyed, material existence. And again, it's created. But the 1/4 material existence is always there. So that way, Karnadakshay Vishnu is always there.
Prabhuji, then in our temple, we worship Lord Balaji. So then, which expansion of Vishnu is he?
Say again.
In our temple, we worship Balaji, Lord Balaji. Balaji.
Balaji, okay.
Yes, then which expansion of Vishnu is
Which tattva is that? Which
Yeah,
expansion
because
of Lord Vishnu is that?
because you told that all three Purusha avatars are Paramatmas. And then worshipping Balaji means also worshipping Paramatma.
No, he's not Paramatma, he's Leelavatara. He's not Paramatma in that sense. See, the word Paramatma is used in a very generic sense. Okay. But sometimes we use the word Paramatma to Lord Krishna also. Haraye Paramatmane. Have you heard this mantra? You know, Pranata Klesha Nashaya, that very famous mantra. Haraye Paramatmane. So Paramatma word is used for all the Krishna, all the Leela avatars also, because they are the ones from whom the tattva is same. But say Balaji, say any other Vishnu Murti we see, they are Leela avatars. They are not in relation to material world. They are having their pastimes. They are Vishnu Murtis in Vaikuntha world. Okay, so of course there is an understanding also Krishna, who in his childhood was called by the name Bala. So I don't know about that. But nonetheless, even if we consider he as Vishnu, uh, he is eternal form, is Leela Avatara. Just like there are so many other Leela Avataras, Vamana, Narsimha, is it not? All these avatars, they are Leela. Like that, one sees them. One sees Balaji also. When one goes to offer worship and service to Balaji, we serve following the mood of Vaikuntha. We offer our respects to our gurus and offer our service to that deity, along with their concerns like Lakshmi, Bhudevi, all that. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you, Hare Krishna. I think the devotees who have shloka test can come near the camera.
Yes, Prabhuji, there are two devotees, me and Prathamesh.
Yes.
Then
Please.
Prathamesh.
So you have those two mantras to see and translation. Hare Krishna, thank you. Others can be. So please, others also should plan very quickly. Huh? I told you there may be another 2 sessions at all, at max, and we will not have shloka test after that. So please do not call telling Prabhuji some more people are remaining for shloka test later. Okay. So please, the remaining 2 devotees. Can you please repeat? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Who is there? Okay. Prabhu, are you ready?
The message for orals. आवाज नाही जाते हुए. काय सांगितलं? Can you please repeat the message for orals regarding orals?
Okay. So basically you have to tell the shloka and translation. Close your eyes, sit in front of camera and do it. Okay. You can say translation either in Hindi or in
How many more sessions are remaining for taking orals? Because many are remaining.
2 more sessions are remaining. In that, everyone should choose the date and conclude that shloka. After that, we will not have shloka test for this unit at all. So don't delay, don't postpone.
Okay, Raj.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat.
Yes, Prabhu.
Om Purnamidam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Translation. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And all the emanation as he is a perfectly complete, all the emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are equipped as a whole within self. Okay, are equipped as a whole within self. Whatever is produced from the whole complete is whole in itself. And whatever is produced from the complete whole is complete in itself. Because he is complete, because he is a whole and complete, even though so many complete unit emanate from himself, he one remains complete balance.
Perfect. Okay. Yes.
Ishavasam sarvam yatkincham jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magrha kasyasvidhanam. All the animate and inanimate within this universe are owned and controlled by the Lord. So one should accept only those things which are necessary for him, or those who are kept aside for his quota or marked as his quota, and should not take or accept the other things, knowing well whom they belong to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prathamesh Prabhu, na? Your name?
Where is Prathamesh? Just a second, Raj, I'll call him. I think he
Okay.
went outside. Just a second.
Aproji, for orals, I think for OBS, I think we should give some explanation or something like that again in a session only.
I took so much time explaining that question.
No, means regarding giving him the idea to start and submit it as soon as possible, like a reminder type, and not the full explanation. You can tell that in the previous lecture, you have already explained what needs to be done, and only that they should start and finish before the exam. Before the final written exam, they should submit the OBS.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, next time you remind me at the end, I'll say. Huh?
Yes, Ruja, I'll send you a message. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prathamesh, Prabhu, na?
Yes, Prabhuji. I'll
Yes.
start.
Yeah, start.
Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Translation, Prabhuji.
Translation, yes.
The personality of Lord Head is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, everything that emanates from him, just as this phenomenal world, is also complete in itself. So basically, anything that emanates from the complete whole is also complete. So the Lord is complete. Although so many units emanate from him, he still remains the complete balance.
Yeah, perfect. Next one.
Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena bhunjita. Magridam kashyas vidhanam.
Okay.
Just a little nervous.
I thought something happened. Video got frozen. I thought. Okay, continue.
Yes. So everything animate and inanimate in this universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. So therefore, one should only accept the things that are necessary for him and that are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept the other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Ruja.
So total 5 of them have given so far. Okay.
Correct.
Last time Ajay Prabhu gave, Rishikesh Pawar Prabhu gave, and yourself.
Yes, Ruja.
And today Siddhant Prabhu and Prathamesh Prabhu, right?
Yes, Ruja.
Yeah, this total only 5 have given, no? So
10 are remaining. So
yeah. Tell them.
Should we choose the names directly, because then they'll not be able to give.
No, don't choose. If they are not giving, that means their marks will be 0. That's all. You don't need to choose. Why you have to choose?
Okay, so I'll then give this notice that only 2 sessions will be there for orals. After that, they'll be considered as 0.
So you just, your service is to just inform. Okay, you don't need to push them or to schedule them like that.
Yes.
They are all grown-up people. They can choose what they want to do. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, that's fine. You can post the message saying next 2 classes are the only slots.
Okay. Yes, Ruja.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you very much.